Most seniors are overpaying for flights, missing out on benefits they are fully entitled to, and making boarding decisions that quietly make every trip harder than it needs to be. And the frustrating part is that none of it is necessary, because the airlines already have systems in place to help you. They just do not advertise them. In this video, we are counting down 15 flight secrets that most travelers over 55 have never heard of. Some will save you money before you even reach the airport. Some will protect you when things go wrong. And number one, which we save for last, is something you can use on your very next flight with a single sentence. Stay with us through the end. The final three are the ones that matter most, and the ones most people only wish they had known sooner. If tips like these are useful to you, subscribe and hit like before we get started. It helps more than you know. Number 15. Book directly with the airline whenever possible. Third-party booking sites look appealing because the prices sometimes appear lower. But what most travelers do not realize is that booking through a third party creates a layer between you and the airline that becomes a serious problem the moment anything goes wrong. If your flight is canceled, delayed, or rescheduled, the airline's first obligation is to passengers who booked directly. Third-party bookings often require you to go back through the booking site to make changes, and those sites are notoriously slow to respond during disruptions when thousands of people are calling at once. Booking directly also makes it easier to apply loyalty numbers, request special assistance, select seats, and manage your booking in real time. The small price difference, when it exists at all, rarely compensates for the loss of control. Quick rule: always start on the airline's own website. Use third-party sites for price comparison only. Number 14. Sign up for every airline loyalty program, even if you fly rarely. This is one of the most common missed opportunities among infrequent flyers. Many travelers assume loyalty programs are only worth joining if you fly several times a year. That assumption costs them real benefits. Most airline loyalty programs are free to join and never expire as long as you have occasional activity. Even a single flight per year is enough to keep an account active on most major carriers. And the benefits begin from the very first enrollment: priority consideration for upgrades, access to member-only fare sales, and points that accumulate across partners, including hotels and car rentals. For travelers over 55 who may take one or two significant trips per year, the points from a transatlantic flight or a cross-country round trip can be meaningful. A couple who each hold accounts and both credit the same flights can accumulate status faster than either would expect. Quick rule: join every airline program you might ever fly. It takes 5 minutes and costs nothing. Number 13. Use fare alerts instead of checking prices manually. Airfare changes constantly, sometimes multiple times in a single day. Most travelers check prices once or twice, make a decision based on what they see, and either book or wait. Both approaches leave money on the table. Fare alert tools, available through Google Flights, Hopper, and directly through some airlines, monitor a specific route and notify you when the price drops. You set the destination, the rough travel window, and the alert does the work for you. No daily checking, no missed drops. The best time to book domestic flights is generally 1 to 3 months out. For international flights, 3 to 6 months in advance tends to produce the best fares. But within those windows, prices fluctuate. And a fare alert means you act at the right moment rather than guessing. Quick rule: set a fare alert the same day you decide where you want to go. Check it when it notifies you, not before. Number 12. Your credit card may already cover travel insurance. This is where many travelers get it wrong, and it is an expensive mistake when it happens. Millions of Americans are paying separately for travel insurance on flights that are already covered by the card they used to purchase the ticket. Many mid-tier and premium credit cards include automatic travel protection that covers trip cancellation, trip interruption, lost luggage, and travel delays, simply by virtue of having paid for the trip with that card. The coverage is not always comprehensive, but for flight-specific risks, it is often sufficient. Before purchasing a standalone travel insurance policy for your next trip, call the number on the back of your credit card and ask specifically what travel protections are included. Get the answer in writing if you can. You may find that the coverage you need is already in place, at no additional cost. Quick rule: check your credit card benefits before buying any travel insurance. Do not pay twice for the same protection. Number 11. Seat selection strategy makes a bigger difference than most people realize. Where you sit on a plane affects your comfort, your ability to deplane quickly, your access to overhead bin space, and if you have any mobility considerations, your entire airport experience at the other end. Most passengers select seats without a strategy. They take what is available, accept a middle seat to avoid a fee, or simply leave it to chance. But seat selection is one of the few elements of air travel you can control entirely in advance, and getting it right costs nothing beyond a few minutes of planning. For travelers who want to deplane quickly, seats in rows 10 through 15 on most aircraft, behind business class but ahead of the bulk of economy, offer the best combination of early boarding and fast exit. For travelers with mobility concerns, bulkhead seats offer additional legroom and easier aisle access, but come with the trade-off of no underseat storage. Exit row seats offer the most legroom in economy, but require passengers to be able to assist in an emergency. Quick rule: use SeatGuru.com before every flight to see exactly which seats on your specific aircraft are best, and which ones to avoid. Number 10. Flying on certain days saves more than you think. Airfare pricing is driven entirely by demand. Airlines charge more when more people want to fly, and less when they need to fill seats that would otherwise go empty. Understanding that pattern is one of the simplest ways to reduce the cost of air travel without changing where you go. Tuesday and Wednesday are consistently the cheapest days to fly on most domestic routes. Sunday is almost always the most expensive. For international travel, midweek departures tend to produce meaningfully lower fares than Friday or Sunday departures. Red-eye flights, overnight departures that arrive early in the morning, are typically the least popular and therefore among the cheapest options on any route. A traveler who has flexibility on departure day and is willing to fly on a Wednesday morning rather than a Friday afternoon will often find fares that are 20 to 40% lower for the exact same seat on the exact same airline. Quick rule: if your travel dates are flexible, search the full week on Google Flights using the calendar view. The cheapest day is usually visible at a glance. Number 9. Airport lounges are not just for first-class passengers. This is one of the best-kept secrets in air travel, and it applies to millions of travelers who have no idea they already have access. Airport lounges, quiet spaces with comfortable seating, complimentary food and drinks, reliable Wi-Fi, and clean restrooms are accessible to far more travelers than just those sitting in business or first class. A premium credit card such as the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Platinum Card from American Express, or several others includes complimentary lounge access through networks like Priority Pass, which covers over 1,300 lounges in airports around the world. For travelers who arrive at airports early, who have long layovers, or who simply find the main terminal overwhelming and exhausting, lounge access changes the airport experience entirely. A woman traveling alone on a long international connection described finding the lounge as the moment the trip went from stressful to genuinely enjoyable, and she had no idea her card included the benefit until a fellow traveler mentioned it. Quick rule: check whether any card in your wallet includes lounge access. If it does, download the relevant app before your next trip and locate the lounge before you need it. Number 8. Requesting special assistance is not just for passengers with disabilities. This is a tip that most passengers over 55 overlook entirely, often because they do not feel their needs are significant enough to qualify. The reality is that airline special assistance services exist for a much broader range of needs than most travelers realize, and using them does not require a medical diagnosis or a formal disability designation. Wheelchair assistance, for example, is available to any passenger who requests it, whether for a permanent condition, a temporary injury, post-surgery recovery, or simply because a long terminal walk between connections is genuinely difficult. Passengers who request wheelchair assistance are typically boarded first, escorted directly to the gate, and assisted through connections without having to navigate the terminal independently. Beyond mobility assistance, airlines can also accommodate requests for extra time during boarding, assistance with overhead bins, and priority deplaning. None of these services require documentation in most cases. They require only a phone call or a notation added to your booking in advance. Quick rule: call the airline at least 48 hours before your flight and request any assistance that would make your journey easier. You are not burdening anyone. These services exist for exactly this purpose. We are halfway through, and what comes next is more important than everything so far. What follows is about protecting yourself when things go wrong and knowing exactly what you are entitled to. Most passengers have no idea. Stay with us. Number 7. You are entitled to compensation. When flights are delayed or canceled, most passengers accept a flight delay or cancellation as an inconvenience and move on. What very few of them know is that depending on the circumstances, they may be legally entitled to compensation, rebooking on a competitor's flight, meal vouchers, hotel accommodation, and more. In the United States, the Department of Transportation requires airlines to refund passengers in full for canceled flights, not just issue a voucher or a credit. If your flight is canceled and you choose not to travel, you are entitled to a cash refund regardless of the fare type you purchased. This applies even to non-refundable tickets when the cancellation originates with the airline. For significant delays, generally 3 hours or more, many airlines will rebook you on the next available flight, including on a competing carrier at no additional charge. The key is knowing to ask. Gate agents will not always volunteer this information. Passengers who ask directly and reference their rights are far more likely to receive them than passengers who wait to be told. Quick rule: if your flight is canceled or significantly delayed, go directly to the gate agent and say, "I would like to be rebooked on the next available flight, including on another carrier if necessary." Those exact words matter. Number 6. TSA PreCheck and global entry are worth every dollar. Security lines are one of the most physically demanding and time-consuming parts of air travel. And for travelers over 55, they can be genuinely exhausting. TSA PreCheck eliminates most of that friction entirely. With PreCheck, you use a dedicated security lane where you do not need to remove your shoes, your belt, your laptop, or your liquids. The lines are shorter, the process is faster, and the physical demands are significantly lower. The enrollment fee is $85 for 5 years, less than $17 per year, and the application process involves a brief in-person appointment at an enrollment center. Global entry includes PreCheck and adds expedited customs processing when returning from international travel. The fee is $100 for 5 years, and many premium credit cards reimburse the cost entirely as a travel credit. A traveler returning from a transatlantic cruise described clearing customs in 4 minutes with global entry while the standard line stretched for over an hour. Quick rule: apply for TSA PreCheck or global entry now, not the week before your trip. Processing can take several weeks, and the benefit only works once the known traveler number is added to your booking. Number 5. Packing strategy affects more than just your luggage fee. Checked baggage fees have increased significantly across most major carriers in recent years. On some airlines, a single checked bag on a round-trip domestic flight now costs more than $60. For a couple traveling together, that adds up to over $100 per trip. Money that most passengers simply absorb without questioning whether it is necessary. Traveling with a carry-on only eliminates that cost entirely and has the additional benefit of protecting you from lost luggage, which, while relatively rare, is disproportionately inconvenient when it happens during a cruise embarkation or a time-sensitive connection. The practical key to carry-on-only travel is packing strategy rather than packing less. Compression cubes reduce volume significantly. Choosing a neutral color palette means fewer items cover more combinations. Rolling clothes rather than folding them prevents wrinkles and uses space more efficiently. Most travelers find after their first trip with carry-on only that they brought everything they needed and returned home with items they never used. Quick rule: before your next trip, lay out everything you plan to pack, then put half of it back. You will almost certainly not miss it. Number 4. The best seats on the plane are often available for free if you know when to check. Airlines release premium economy seats, exit rows, and other preferred seating to loyalty members and then to all passengers at specific windows before departure. Most travelers do not know these windows exist, and as a result, they pay for upgraded seats that would have become available for free if they had simply waited. On most major U.S. carriers, unclaimed preferred seats are released to all passengers at the 24-hour check-in window. If you were unable to select an exit row or an aisle seat near the front when you booked, checking in at exactly the 24-hour mark, and checking available seats at that moment will often reveal options that were previously blocked or paid only. This is one of those strategies that takes 30 seconds to execute and can meaningfully improve a long flight. Set a phone alarm for exactly 24 hours before your departure and open the seat map the moment check-in becomes available. Quick rule: set a 24-hour alarm and check the seat map the moment check-in opens. Do not wait until morning if your flight departs at night. We are in the final stretch, and these last three are the most decision-critical of everything we have covered. Number one in particular is something most passengers only learn after they needed it and did not have it. Stay with us. Number three, travel with medications in your carry-on, always. This is a mistake that seems obvious until someone makes it, and the consequences when it happens during a trip involving a cruise, a long connection, or international travel can be genuinely serious. Checked luggage is delayed, misdirected, and occasionally lost. If your medications are in a checked bag and that bag does not arrive with you, replacing a prescription in an unfamiliar city, especially internationally, can be complicated, time-consuming, and in some cases impossible on short notice. All medications, particularly prescriptions, should travel in your carry-on bag without exception. They should be in their original labeled bottles where possible, and you should carry a printed medication list that includes dosage information and the prescribing physician's name. That list becomes critical if you need to seek medical attention away from home. Also bring several extra days of every medication you rely on. Flight delays, itinerary extensions, and unexpected disruptions are more common than most travelers expect. And running out of a critical medication in a foreign port is a situation that is entirely preventable with one simple habit. Quick rule: medications go in the carry-on, every time, without exception. Number two, arriving early is not cautious. It is the single most effective stress reducer in air travel. Every year, travelers miss flights they could have caught. They arrive what feels like a reasonable time before departure, encounter an unexpected security line or a gate change, and find themselves watching their flight close from the wrong side of the terminal. For travelers over 55, particularly those with connections, mobility considerations, or unfamiliarity with a specific airport, the buffer between arrival and departure is not a comfort preference. It is a practical protection against a cascade of problems that a single delay can set in motion. For domestic flights, arriving 2 hours before departure is the reliable minimum. For international flights, 3 hours. For airports you are not familiar with, or during peak travel periods, add 30 minutes to those numbers. The time spent waiting at the gate is a small price for the certainty that you will board your flight calmly, with your overhead bin space secured and your documents ready. A man traveling to meet a cruise ship departure described arriving at the airport 90 minutes before an international flight, which he had done dozens of times before. A security line that was unexpectedly long meant he reached his gate as the doors were closing. He made the flight. His checked bag did not. Quick rule: decide your arrival time based on the worst reasonable scenario, not the best one. You can always use the extra time in the lounge. Number one, ask for what you need, out loud, specifically, and without apologizing. This is the most important tip in this entire video, and the one most travelers over 55 are least likely to act on. Airlines have systems in place for passengers who need extra time boarding: assistance reaching overhead bins, help navigating connections, priority deplaning, and a wide range of other accommodations. These systems work, but they are almost entirely reactive, meaning they respond to requests rather than anticipating needs. The mistake most passengers make is waiting to be offered help, assuming their needs are not significant enough to mention, or feeling reluctant to ask for something that might inconvenience others. That reluctance costs them comfort, energy, and sometimes their connection. Before your next flight, when you check in or speak to a gate agent, try these exact words: "I would appreciate a little extra time boarding and any assistance available with my bag." That sentence takes 5 seconds to say. In most cases, the agent will note it in your record, seat you in the pre-boarding group, and flag your flight for bin assistance. No documentation required, no formal process, just a calm, direct request. You have earned the right to travel comfortably. The systems exist to help you do exactly that. Use them. Airlines have tools and protections that benefit you, but they rarely volunteer the information. The travelers who fly most comfortably and affordably are the ones who learned to ask the right questions before they needed the answers. If you are flying to a cruise, navigating a connection, or traveling alone, these tips are your starting point. If you are planning a cruise alongside your next flight, the next video to watch is this one: 15 cruise mistakes you must avoid on your first cruise. Several of those mistakes connect directly to what we covered here today, and knowing them before you sail will save you far more than the flight ever cost. It is right here when you're ready.